My name is Maximilian Hüttenrauch and I'm a PhD student in the Autonomous Learning Robots Lab at KIT in Karlsruhe, Germany, and today I would like to talk about state representations in swarms for deep reinforcement learning. This presentation is based on work done together with Adrian Sosic and Gerhard Neumann. When we look at biological swarms, we often see that a group of homogeneous agents, such as birds or ants, is able to accomplish complex tasks like flocking or foraging. They achieve a cooperative bigger goal based only on their local perception of the whole group. In this work, we want to have a closer look on how to represent this local information and how we can efficiently build it into existing deep reinforcement learning frameworks. The goal of reinforcement learning is to learn a function which outputs a control signal given a state or an observation of a state of a system, a so-called policy function pi. We prefer learning a policy based on rewards, as modeling behavior by hand becomes infeasible for increasingly complex tasks. The underlying reinforcement learning algorithm which we use to learn the policies is called trust region policy optimization, and I would like to refer you to the original paper for details. It is important to know, however, that the policy function is realized using a neural network. Learning policies in swarm environments is difficult as the problem is very high dimensional due to the large number of agents. Additionally, we have to deal with changing amount of information as agents may enter or leave each other's field of perception. We model an agent in a swarm as a point mass in 2D with a position and an orientation. It is able to control its linear and angular velocity and can sense spatial features like distance or bearing to other agents. Furthermore, we assume that they are able to communicate graph-based features such as shortest path information to a point of interest. A swarm is modeled as a graph where each agent is a vertex and an edge between two agents is established if they are able to communicate. An agent's neighborhood is defined as the set of agents he shares an edge with. In the figure, we can see two agents. The local observation agent I has about agent J is comprised of features such as the distance d and the bearing angle phi, but can also include agent J's relative orientation theta or the relative velocity between both agents. The main question we want to answer is how can we represent information that comes in form of a set such that the representation has fixed dimensionality and is permutation invariant to be processed by a neural network. The key idea is that we treat elements in the set of observations as samples from a distribution that depends on the current swarm configuration. Then we use so-called mean embeddings to represent the underlying probability distribution by the expected feature map. The remaining question is, which feature function should we choose? The first feature function we will look at are what we call neighborhood partitions, which are essentially histograms over spatial features. The second one is a simple feed-forward neural network which maps all elements of the set of observations into a higher dimensional hidden space. Let's start with neighborhood partitions. When we look at the local agent configuration on the left, we can see that the agent in the center has 8 neighboring agents. If we now discretize the space of polar coordinates into a fixed number of bins for distance and angle, we already see that a histogram is a very natural way of representing this local agent configuration. By simply counting the number of agents in each bin, we get an encoding of spatial relations. Additionally, we can add partitions where we encode graph features like other agents' shortest path within each bin. The observation fed to the policy finally is a stack of partitions. In summary, neighborhood partitions are a natural way of processing spatial and graph information in swarms, providing permutation invariance and fixed dimensionality under changing neighborhood sizes. However, we lose information due to the discretization, and it scales exponentially with the number of spatial features. That's where mean embeddings of neural network features come into play. By choosing phi to be a neural network, we get the same benefits of the histogram without the need for discretization. Instead, we have to choose the dimensionality of the hidden space, which proved not to be as hard as choosing the discretization of the histogram. Additionally, we now scale linearly with a number of features as we directly process the elements of the set of local observations. In this work, we looked at two cooperative swarming tasks. The first one is a rendezvous or consensus task, where agents start randomly in the scene and their goal is to learn a control strategy that minimizes their inter-agent distances. In the figure on the right, the initial swarm configuration is displayed in light blue and the episode progresses towards darker shades of blue. In the end, they are able to meet at one point. The second task is called Pursuit Evasion. This task includes a different type of agent, the evader, depicted in red, who follows a pre-specified policy. The goal of the agents is to catch the evader. However, we chose to let the evader move at a faster velocity to encourage the need of a cooperative strategy. We also prepared a video for each task which compares different mean embeddings. We first look at a comparison of different mean embeddings on the rendezvous task with 20 agents. The experiments consist of the same initial swarm configuration, but policies are learned using different mean embeddings. The basic set describes observations of distance and bearing to other agents. On top left, we can see the execution of a policy learned with a hard count-based histogram over distance and bearing features. On top right, we see the same features are processed by radial basis functions, which is basically a soft allocation histogram. The bottom left shows a policy with a neural network mean embedding of distance and bearing features. And lastly, we learned a neural network mean embedding policy on an extended set, which had additional features like relative orientation and velocity of each neighbor. We can see that the histogram has a hard time to provide an appropriate representation of the neighborhoods. The soft allocation histogram is already doing much better, and the neural network mean embedding provides the best representation of the neighborhoods. The second video shows a pursuit evasion scenario where 10 agents try to catch one evader. We again compare the different mean embeddings, histogram, soft allocation histogram, neural network, and neural network with an extended feature set. Again, the neural network mean embedding provides the best representation of the neighborhoods, which leads to the quickest capture of the evader. Alright, in this presentation we saw that mean embeddings are an effective way for processing spatial and graph information in swarms. They provide necessary properties such as permutation and variance and fixed dimensionality under changing neighborhood sizes. Evaluations on two benchmark tasks showed that information processed by neural network mean embeddings results in better performing policies compared to other representations. The publication this presentation is based on can be found online, and the link will also be in the description. Thank you for your attention.